Get ready to learn gabagool, Jacob Markstrom, but we actually mean it this time.
You're Locked On Flames, your daily podcast on the Calgary Flames. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Locked On Flames. As always, I'm your host, Jess Belmosto, and thank you so much for joining me today. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 with any winning $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. Today, we are back at the starting line with Jacob Markstrom and the New Jersey Devils' never-ending love affair. But we might actually finally break free and allow Jacob to go where his heart desires and a team that really wants him, and it's a lot closer to winning. But make sure you're subscribed to Locked On Flames wherever you're getting your podcasts, as well as YouTube. We are here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, your team every day. We have to obviously talk about what is at stake here. The 10th overall pick for the Calgary Flames. 2 top 10 picks for the first time in 8 years since your last top 10. Not too shabby. And of course, we're going to talk about why the Flames should do it and why New Jersey might not go for it this time. But let's start at the beginning, because this is something we discussed tirelessly probably 3 months ago. 3 months ago was March, so about 4 or 5 months ago at this point. So now reports are saying that New Jersey is willing to trade their 10th overall pick for a goaltender. Apparently, Nashville is out of the conversation, and the two biggest desirable goaltenders are Linus Ullmark from Boston, who just won the Vezina 2 seasons ago, and Jacob Markstrom, who was nominated and came in second for a Vezina trophy 3 years ago. I mix up Venza and Vezina all the time because I work with Toyota, and Venza is an SUV. So please forgive me. Do not think I am dumb. I am just constantly in work mode. But yes, the Vezina trophy candidate from 3 years ago and the Vezina candidate winner from 2 years ago. I think that this is interesting because Linus Ullmark's name was not really a point of interest, or at least a topic of conversation back around the trade deadline. Obviously, he's in a similar situation like Markstrom in terms of having his no trade list and things like that. So the ball is in the players' hands right now. Like, this is entirely up to them. And I think that it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out, because obviously Markstrom was ready. He waived that no movement, no trade clause for the Devils back in February, and then Calgary put a stop on it. Linus Ullmark, he said at exit interviews that he sees himself staying in Boston. So we're gonna have to see how this one kind of unfolds, but I really don't hate this for the Flames, because back-to-back picks is pretty good in the first round. You want as many really first-round picks as you can get, but you have draft capital for a reason, and we're going to talk more about that here in a little bit. And it sounds like Alexander Holtz would be the return for the Flames. And the Flames would need to also package the 28th overall pick that they obtained from Vancouver in the Elias Lindholm trade. I don't think that that's ridiculous. I like this a lot. Situations like this are exactly why you have draft capital and why it's so important to maximize that, especially that first round aspect, because yeah, like you obviously want to pick in the first round, but if you have the opportunity to go from 28th to 10th, think of all the good things that that can come from that, right? It's very very interesting to me that I've seen people kind of say, no, we don't want Holtz. I think that Holtz is an interesting player because he's only 22 years old. He obviously still has some team control, but I think this is a very similar situation to Yegor Sharangovich, where needs a change of scenery, could really benefit from not playing in New Jersey anymore. Apparently, Lindy Ruff and him didn't get, they didn't see eye to eye. And I, it happens. Like, we have seen it happen here in Calgary. I think of Sam Bennett. I think of everyone that requested a trade allegedly after the season with Sutter. There, it happens. And sometimes you just need a clean slate. And coming into an organization like Kuzmenko did as well, came in after seeing a decreased, smaller role in Vancouver, and he wasn't playing well and he wasn't really happy with it, but he was able to find his game again given more responsibility. And sometimes you just have to figure out what that untapped potential is, because could you put, you know, Holt on power play 2 and to get to, kind of pad his stats a little bit? There's a number of ways for this to work out. I think the Flames, if they did things right back around the trade deadline, they should have pushed for Dawson Mercer. In my honest opinion, I think that would have been great. I think New Jersey would have probably changed their mind, but I think that it was something worth trying and exploring, and we don't know if that happened or not. But Alexander Holtz was rumored to be part of the original trade. Why not try this again? Obviously, New Jersey needs a goaltender. Flames need young talent. And we're going to talk a little bit here about Boston's not so exciting offer that could be on the table. But before we do that, we are going to take a quick break here, and I want to talk to you about FanDuel. It is winner take all time in the NBA and NHL, and FanDuel is giving you your shot to bring home a big win of your own. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. I will more than likely be placing a nice little bet for game 1, because as someone who does not have any emotional investment in this game, let's make it entertaining. More than 3 shots on net for Sam Reinhart. Connor McDavid goal. What about a power play goal? Who takes are we taking the over? Are we taking the under? Who are you putting the money line on? But you can do all of that and get $150 in bonus bets to bet on spreads, money lines, and player props and more. Visit FanDuel.com/locked-on and make every playoff shot count. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out with me today on Locked On Flames. Make sure you are subscribed wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. We're here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week. Your team every day. This is something that we have talked about ad nauseum quite literally for the last year now, and we're talking about Dustin Wolf, right? You need to move a goaltender so you can get Dustin Wolf in into the NHL and playing consistently. There's a second opportunity right in your lap, right at your feet, to move on from Jacob Markstrom and bring in Dustin Wolf. Obviously, you're gonna need to figure stuff out with Dan Vladar too, make sure that he's good to go for the season. But if you can assure Dustin Wolf at the time of his contract extension that he will be seeing NHL time, I think that that's, a bit more enticing for him to, maybe you use that as leverage. Like, hey, like, you're finally going to see NHL starting time. What if we give you blah, blah, blah? Would you consider doing that so we can bring in another defenseman to, keep you in line? Or, protect the blue line better. I don't know. But this is an opportunity for them to really take advantage of this draft capital. Having that extra first round draft pick is a perfect example of why you should do this and why what you do. Unless this is something where it's like, I mean, even if you just have 2 first round picks, like, usually you're gonna trade something to, move up or package something together and move elsewhere. I mean, it is just an interesting situation for the Flames to be in. Um, this is the second opportunity, and if they don't make this happen, I don't think it's because of Markstrom. I really do wonder if it does come down to a matter of wanting to remain competitive. I use that term very loosely and very lightly, and in quotations if you're not watching. But there is a lot more reason to put faith in your future rather than your present. And if you get a young guy like Alexander Holtz in return, you are investing in your future that you are so desperately trying to make better. And it's a great start. I think that the Flames have a little bit more to offer, and that 28th overall first round draft pick is a lot better than what Boston has to offer, because they don't have a first round pick this year. They don't have really that much of an attractive prospect pool outside of Fabian Lysell, Matthew Poitras, and both of those players are, fringe players right now, but Lysell has not popped the way that they expected him to be the second coming of David Pastrnak, and Poitras to be Patrice Bergeron and even Johnny Beecher. Like, I do not see any of those as attractive as another first round pick or any first round pick. This is an excellent draft class, one of the better ones since, we've kind of resorted to normal hockey seasons. And obviously last year you had Bedard, and the year before you had a lot of great picks in that top 5. Your draft classes are returning to players who aren't missing out on those crucial developmental years due to a lockdown or a pause or anything like that. But Holtz is only 22. He's got 1 year left and will be a restricted free agent, which is, again, very good because the Flames just need bodies. The Flames could really benefit from having bodies on the ice and competent bodies. I do believe that Holtz is going to be one of those players that truly needs an adjustment and a clean slate and just a change of scenery, however you want to put it. I think that he has the potential to be a very exciting and very talented hockey player, but he needs a coach that is willing to work with him on his level. And I don't think he was getting that in New Jersey, and I don't know if he will get that with Sheldon Keefe even. So, you're gonna have to obviously keep an eye on that, and the closer the draft gets, the more kind of exciting it becomes. It's more of a nail biter situation because like last draft, we thought that they were going to move on from Vladar and they didn't. So anything can happen here. We are fully aware that the Flames could oversell, right? They could put a lot of extra things in a package they don't need to. They could put, maybe next year's second round draft pick, something that it doesn't need to necessarily need to be there when you're giving them a starting goaltender and a first round draft pick. I'm looking forward to it because I think that, obviously Jacob Markstrom was ready to go. He had his ducks in a row and he thought he was going to be a devil when they were on the East Coast in February, yeah, beginning of February. So like I don't think that he would be opposed to waiving it again. I think that you would actually need to reassure him for like 150%, like a blood oath, that you're not backing out, that this is actually going to go through, because why would you do that to a player twice? You know what I mean? It's cruel. It's very cruel, especially when they're doing you a favor by waiving this. You're also moving $3 million off the books. Maybe more. Murray Edwards, please. Let Flames fans have something nice. Let us have a treat. A small crumb of moving forward in this process would be fantastic. And we're going to talk about kind of look at the exact opposite side of things of why New Jersey wouldn't pursue Calgary as hard as they would with Boston. And we will be right back after this. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out with me today on Locked On Flames. I hope you are having a great week. And thank you so much for making Locked On Flames part of your day, a part of your lives. It is very much appreciated, especially during the off season where, teams are still playing hockey, but, the final two teams are your biggest rival. And then the team Matthew Tkachuk went to. Like, I think everyone is collectively rooting for Matthew Tkachuk, but it still stings. Absolutely still stings. And you know what else still stings, I'm sure, for New Jersey? Calgary's rejection. This is something that I'm thinking a lot about as the Flames approach the draft and their kind of offer to New Jersey, potentially the second time around. But I'm also looking at things from the Devils' perspective, and why would you be more likely to pursue Linus Ullmark? Linus Ullmark is 30 years old compared to Jacob Markstrom's 34. Ullmark only has 1 year left on his contract, which is, you're not you're not necessarily investing a whole lot of time and money into this player, and he just won a Vezina. I think, that's a pretty solid list of pros. And then he's had consistent years these past few years since signing with Boston. I will say I think Buffalo was not fit for him. I mean, he was a fine goaltender there, but he's been able to really blossom and flourish in Boston, and I I think that he also really had a decent playoff run, um, not this past year, but the year before when they had, like, the best record in NHL history, simply because and it came crashing down because he ended up getting injured him on that. You really can't. Things happen, and when your defense just kinda poops the bed, what are you supposed to do? And, you don't have to worry about Boston backing out. I think it would take a lot to get Allmark to waive his no movement clause. That is a very tough spot to be in as a player because it's like I plan to have stability here for the next 4 years, and now I'm being asked to pack my stuff and go. Like, the Flames were put into a very unique situation where they felt obligated to ask Markstrom, and they were very lucky that he said yes. And I think that it's kind of I think it's unfair for both players to, be asked again to leave. The Devils do have, of course, to worry about Omar, allowing this trade to happen. But I do think that they have less to worry about in terms of management backing out when the deal is just about done. I think that, Don Sweeney is a pretty solid general manager and it is a schmoozer, so he will make it happen. He does a lot for the organization and has done a lot. I think it really is just a matter of the team, or sorry, the player wanting to waive their clause. And why would you risk getting in talks with Calgary again just for the chance for them to back out, because it's already happened once. With Boston, you haven't really explored that option, and you don't even know, well, at least what we know is we don't even know if it is an option right now. We just know that they are interested, and the ball is in the player's court on both sides. But Calgary isn't as quick to move here because they're going to have $3 million in dead cap space for the next 3 years. And so be it. I'm sorry, but if you want things to move a little faster here, so you have a nice new team in your new taxpayer funded arena, you're gonna have to rip off the Band-Aid here. You're gonna have to tear down that Jenga tower by moving Jacob Markstrom. It is not easy. It is not something that any of us want to watch, but in the long run, it benefits the team. I just hope that that door isn't closed. It didn't sound like the door was closed. Even like immediately after the deadline, it sounded like it would be explored again come summer. So maybe Flames ownership will, have had time to actually sit on it and think about it and be like, okay, this is a good, they'll get a little hungry for some prospects, some young blood in the organization, and you get Alexander Holtz, who could be a good player, or who is a good player and could become a great player in Calgary. I don't know if Jersey will pull the trigger. I have so many feelings on the state of New Jersey as a whole, and let alone this hockey team. But is Tom Fitzgerald going to waste his time with Calgary again? Could this be a situation, though, where he is desperate to get this goaltender and says, I will take on 75% of this cap hit? Or we find a third team and make it work that way. So the Flames aren't sitting in dead money, because obviously Murray Edwards and the owners are paying Daryl Sutter $4 million this past season to not work with the Flames. So I don't think they're going to want to hold on to money and pay a goaltender who they are not employing any longer. But the Devils have their work cut out for them. And I think that's going to be a lot of fun to watch. I would assume this happens obviously by the draft, but I have a feeling it's going to be one of those day of trades, or day or two before. I don't think that this gets done during the Stanley Cup final. I don't. I have a hard time thinking it does. But I hope, for the sake of the Flames and their desire to be a competitive team, they trade Jacob Markstrom. You get Dustin Wolf in here. You get Alexander Holtz, who can probably, boost your offense a little bit more than it is now, and start using those draft picks for something good, because 2 top 10 draft picks is incredible. I don't know why you would gloss over that, why you would turn that down, especially with the current state and goal of the organization. But again, I don't get paid the big bucks to decide these things. I just get paid to sit here and talk to y'all about the Flames. And I'm so happy to be here, a part of your day and time with Locked On Flames. I hope you have a fantastic day. I hope that you subscribe to Locked On Flames wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. We're here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, your team every day. And until tomorrow, stay safe, stay warm, stay dry, stay hydrated, and be kind.